Clueless turned a Beverly Hills high school into one of cinema's most quotable classrooms. Premiering in 1995, it followed Alicia Silverstone's Cher Horowitz, a wildly confident teenage matchmaker who glided between classes, malls, and makeovers with total certainty. Orbiting around her was Paul Rudd's quietly grounded Josh, Brittany Murphy's adorable Ty, Stacey Dash's razor-sharp Dion, and Donald Faison's loud but lovable Murray. Each one sketching out a different corner of 90s teen culture in knee-high socks and designer labels. Across its 97 minutes, Clueless rewired the teen movie playbook. It turned Jane Austen into mall culture, flooded the decade with new slang, and sent its fashion, especially Mona May's yellow plaid suit, into the pop culture hall of fame. Yet behind the perfectly coordinated outfits, the flip phones, and the endless as-if quotes was a production built on mispronounced lines, rain-soaked locations, grueling schedules, near-miscasting choices, and real-life danger that hit much closer than any scripted mugging. These are 15 surprising facts about Clueless, one of my favorites. Stick around for number 15 to find out how one of the movie's cruelest lines turned out to be quietly true for the actress who delivered it. Number 1. The movie hid a 19th century novel inside a Beverly Hills mall. Clueless didn't start with the mall, a makeover, or a classroom debate. It started with Jane Austen. Writer-director Amy Heckerling built the entire story on the bones of Austen's 1815 novel Emma. In the book, a privileged young woman meddles in other people's love lives, misreads everyone's emotions, including her own, and slowly realizes how much she's misunderstood. Heckerling lifted that emotional map and dropped it into 1990s Los Angeles. Cher became a modern Emma, wealthy, sheltered, and genuinely well-meaning, but completely blind to her own privilege and romantic confusion. Ty stood in for Harriet Smith, a less polished friend in need of a makeover and a social upgrade. Josh echoed Mr. Knightley, the older, morally grounded presence who sees Cher more clearly than she sees herself. That literary spine is why Clueless feels smarter than its surface suggests. Heckerling wasn't just writing gags. She was translating Austen's social satire into the language of Beverly Hills. The project actually began in 1993 as a TV pilot called No Worries. Multiple networks passed, finding it too female-driven or simply too smart. Only when the TV version stalled did Heckerling reshape it into a feature film that Paramount finally embraced. Number 2. Alicia Silverstone was discovered in a music video. Before she became Cher Horowitz, Silverstone was already a familiar face, but not for movies. Amy Heckerling first noticed her in Aerosmith's Crying music video, where Silverstone plays a teenager who refuses to stay inside the box that other people have drawn for her. Rebellious, charismatic, and utterly sure of herself even in the middle of chaos. Heckerling watched that performance and saw exactly what she needed. A young actress who could project total confidence even when the character had no idea what she was doing. By the time auditions rolled around, Silverstone wasn't just another name on a list. The director had already decided this was Cher. The studio ran through other options. Reese Witherspoon met with Heckerling and campaigned hard. She was charming and funny, but felt more self-aware than the blissfully insulated Cher on the page. Silverstone had an intangible quality that circled back to that music video. She could command the camera while seeming completely unself-conscious, and when Clueless opened, that instinct was fully vindicated. Number 3. A parade of future stars almost changed the cast completely. The casting process nearly delivered a very different film. Reese Witherspoon pursued Cher aggressively. Angelina Jolie submitted an audition tape, but was described as too knowing, as if she already saw through every social game the script wanted to play. Gwyneth Paltrow was floated by studio executives, but scheduling got in the way. Sarah Michelle Gellar actually landed the role of Amber on paper, but the daytime series All My Children refused to release her, and the part went to Elisa Donovan. Ben Affleck read for Josh. Zach Braff auditioned. Dave Chappelle and Terrence Howard were both considered for Murray. Jeremy Renner was even in the mix for Travis, a choice that would have tilted the lovable skater closer to edgy than endearing. All of those actors went on to significant careers, but they belonged to different tonal universes. Clueless needed performers who could balance satire and sincerity. Through timing, instinct, and a couple of immovable TV contracts, the pieces clicked into the ensemble we know. Number 4. A mispronounced word became Cher's defining moment. In a movie built on sharp dialogue, one of its most famous lines was never meant to be funny. During the classroom debate scene, Cher argues for allowing refugees into America and refers to the Haitians, not Haitians but Haitians. Alicia Silverstone, then 18, simply mispronounced the word, assuming it followed the pattern of Haiti plus ants. To her, it sounded correct. On a typical set, that would trigger an immediate cut. But Amy Heckerling stopped the script supervisor from correcting her, realizing that what was happening in front of the camera was more valuable than the correct pronunciation. It made perfect character sense that Cher would passionately argue a point she believed in while tripping over a basic word she had never heard said aloud. Heckerling let the take run. What you hear in the final film is the exact moment Silverstone believed she had delivered the line correctly. That choice gave the movie a line fans would quote for decades and expanded Cher beyond a stereotype. She's not a caricature of ignorance. She's a person whose social bubble has never forced her to see her own blind spots. Number 5. The script snatched a mugging story straight from real life. Cher's late-night parking lot mugging and her refusal to lie down in an Alicia dress feels like satire pushed to absurdity. But the seed came from a real story Amy Heckerling heard at a dinner party. A television executive held up at gunpoint was ordered to the ground, and his instinctive protest wasn't about the weapon. It was about his designer suit. Hey, this is an Armani. Heckerling was struck by what that revealed about priorities in a certain social class. Fear of ruining a high-end suit outweighed the immediate terror of a loaded gun. When she wrote Cher's mugging, she transplanted that instinct into a teenage context, and Armani became Alicia. Budget realities nearly stopped the scene cold, since the production couldn't justify buying a real designer dress just to drag it across asphalt. Costume designer Mona May reached out to the fashion house directly, explained the tone of the scene, and secured permission to use the piece. Only then could they commit to the gag fully. Number 6. Paul Rudd faced a real mugging without the punchline. While the movie was parodying danger, one of its stars experienced the unfiltered version. During production, Paul Rudd left Jerry's famous deli in Los Angeles and was confronted by an armed robber who fired a shot over his head to prove the gun was real. Rudd handed over his backpack, which contained his personal copy of the Clueless script. For a brief moment, an unknown criminal possessed one of the only working drafts of a film that would go on to define a generation. Rudd later joked about a thief paging through teen movie dialogue, but at the time there was nothing funny about it. The following day he showed up to work and filmed the club scene as scheduled, with no delays and no visible hesitation. Privately, though, the incident lodged deeper, and combined with other unpleasant experiences in the city, it contributed to his eventual decision to leave LA for New York. Number 7. A party game turned into a hygiene ordeal. The suck and blow sequence looks light and effortless on screen, but the reality for the cast and crew was considerably stickier. The game requires passing a card from person to person using only mouth suction. Standard playing cards were too heavy and slick, slipping halfway around the circle and sending the arrangement back to square one. The prop team swapped in a lighter cardboard disc, then began layering thick applications of lip gloss and chapstick onto the actors' mouths to create a tacky surface that could hold the disc long enough. It worked technically, but any mistimed breath or nervous laugh sent the card falling and forced a full reset and reg loss. Donald Faison later described the experience as a hygiene disaster. Dozens of near kisses in a closed circle under hot lights with all the artificial moisture the prop department could provide. Number 8. Donald Faison quietly turned Murray into a cornerstone. On the page, Murray was an ensemble role, Dion's boyfriend and comic relief. But Faison made sure you left the theater remembering him. His approach was to treat every line as if Murray was unquestionably right. That certainty, whether he was lecturing about hair or spiraling during the freeway scene, made his absurdity funnier. His dynamic with Stacey Dash's Dion deepened the effect, their arguments feeling less like scripted spats and more like the ongoing vocabulary of a couple locked in playful combat for years. Murray's lines became some of the most quoted in the film despite his limited screen time. When Clueless migrated to television in 1996, Faison returned and Murray became a series regular, carrying episodes and storylines in his own right. Number 9. A grueling shoot survived rain, mud, and a punishing calendar. Clueless feels sunny and breezy, but the production schedule told a different story. Principal photography began in November 1994 with roughly 40 scheduled shooting days, and Los Angeles promptly delivered an unusually wet winter. Scenes meant to showcase outdoor California glam had to be reworked. The Mighty Mighty Bosstones performance was moved inside when rain made the planned exterior location unusable. Rain turned Cher's mansion gardens into mud that found its way onto polished floors. Equipment trucks near the Sepulveda Basin faced flooding, with rangers warning the crew to move before vehicles were lost. Brittany Murphy, at 17, also meant every shooting day involving Ty had to accommodate child labor laws, mandatory breaks, and a guardian on set, compressing preparation time throughout the entire schedule. Number 10. Cher's 63 outfits turned costume design into storytelling. Mona May approached each of those outfits as character development. Early Cher is sharply tailored and meticulously matched, her clothes projecting control and certainty. As Cher begins to question her assumptions, her clothing tracks the shift. Colors soften and silhouettes relax, trading the visual rhetoric of "I know best" for a quieter curiosity. The entire costume budget was approximately $200,000. May stretched it by combining designer pieces with mall finds, vintage scores, and cleverly altered garments, all styled to look effortlessly expensive on screen. Number 11. The computerized closet was fiction that eventually became reality. The sequence where Cher assembles outfits on her computer was pure fantasy in 1995, built by Heckerling from the logic of childhood paper dolls. Real computers of the era were still wrestling with dial-up connections. Decades later, digital wardrobe apps arrived promising exactly what Cher had, with services like Clueless openly credited as direct inspiration. Technology caught up to a throwaway gag from a teen comedy. Number 12. The yellow plaid suit was chosen to own the frame. That Jean-Paul Gaultier blazer and skirt wasn't a lucky find. Mona May selected it as a deliberate counterpoint to mid-90s grunge, with its muted colors and intentional dishevelment. Red versions conjured Christmas. Blue blended into locations. Yellow exploded against beige walls and green lawns, and when Silverstone stepped out of the fitting room wearing it, the whole team nearly had goosebumps. The suit announced Cher's social power before she spoke a single word, and it has remained one of cinema's most replicated looks ever since. Number 13. The film's slang came from research and reinvention. Heckerling spent time around real Beverly Hills teenagers, eavesdropping on speech patterns and using auditions as research sessions. Real teen dialogue wasn't cinematic enough, so she distilled and elevated it into a heightened musical dialect. Words like Betty, Barney, postal, and the immortal as if belonged to the characters rather than any real subculture. She was so uncertain audiences would follow that she created a glossary called the Slangalog and distributed it to press and theater owners. It worked anyway. The film's vocabulary seeped back into real hallways and cafeterias, blurring the line between documentation and invention. Number 14. A supporting actor invented an unforgettable dance. At the house party, Jeremy Sisto's Elton takes the floor to Coolio's Rolling with My Homies and delivers a dance so proudly awkward it became iconic. Most of that movement was improvised. Sisto played Elton as a guy raised with enough privilege to assume everything he did was charming, making his gestures deliberate but stiff, his lip-syncing exaggerated to the edge of absurdity. The hand wave he paired with the chorus turned the song into a visual gag that still summons that looping gesture for anyone who hears it today. And number 15, the virgin who can't drive was true on both sides of the camera. Near the end of the film, Ty delivers the harshest line in 90s teen cinema. "You're a virgin who can't drive." Amy Heckerling has said the insult came from her own adolescence, built from the things that once embarrassed her most. Then came the accidental echo. Brittany Murphy later revealed that at the time of filming, She genuinely was a virgin and genuinely could not drive. What Heckerling had written from her own life turned out to perfectly describe the young actress delivering it. The production worked around Murphy's lack of driving skills through careful framing and towing rigs, while Murphy herself later described feeling like an outsider stepping into a world where others already had footing. That reality bled into Ty's early scenes, her wide-eyed eagerness, and that subtle sense of always being a half step behind. So when Ty finally turns on Cher, the line hits multiple targets at once. Cruel in context, funny in retrospect, and, by pure coincidence, literally true for the actress saying it. It's what Clueless does best. It uses heightened language to reveal small, intimate truths. And Brittany Murphy, what a tremendous actress. Gone way too soon. Thanks for watching these 15 facts about Clueless, the teen comedy that turned a Beverly Hills makeover into a modern classic. Which detail changed the way you see the movie? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, keep on watching.